Hello and welcome. Today is episode 10 on Lessons of a Lashpreneur. Thank you so much for catching the replay. Today we're talking about self-worth and entrepreneurship and how those are tied together. Oh, it's going to get deep, guys, so I hope you're ready. Stick with me here on this journey. It might get a little woo-woo because we're going to dive into your psychology, but I promise you that there is hope at the end of this. I teach lash artists from all over the world how to run a business, and the thing that I run into a lot of times is that lash artists will equate their skill set as a lash artist and think that that determines whether they are going to be successful in business or not. Most of us are lash artists, business owners by accident, meaning we have really good skill that somehow built us up a little bit of a clientele, and we think we're going to be successful on our own by ourselves as entrepreneurs and business owners. The problem is we live in a time when our industry is not regulated. For most parts of the world, our lash artistry is not regulated. Anybody can teach lashes. Anybody can be a lash artist for the most part. And so there's no set standard of good versus bad. It's all subjective. Now, for me, who prioritizes natural lash health, I can say that anybody who uses a 0.18, a 0.20, a 0.25 on natural lashes is a bad lash artist. But that is just my own opinion. That doesn't mean that they're a bad lash artist. They could be the best lash artist in the world. That's just my take. My take doesn't have any more weight on it than theirs. It's my own opinion. It's just not how I choose to run a business and not how I choose to approach my artistry. But does that make me right? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make me any more right and any more important or valuable in the lash world than somebody who was taught a different way but is still seeing success in their business. Does being a good or bad lash artist impact how you run a business? It can, but does that mean that you are going to not succeed if you're a bad lash artist? If you have been in the lash industry for a hot minute, then you probably know that being a bad lash artist does not have anything to do with whether you succeed or fail. You probably see lash artists who are bad and go, why are they so successful? Because their work sucks. But again, it's subjective, and clients don't necessarily determine good, bad. They only see either price or they only see the results that they want, and they're getting that from that lash artist who you are deeming as bad. One person's opinion of your business, whether you're that bad lash artist that people are confused about as to why you're successful, or you're a good lash artist struggling to keep your doors open and you're just not sure why, it's all subjective. You have to define for you what success is, and we're going to dive into self-worth and how that's tied to entrepreneurship. But first, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tara Walsh. I am a licensed esthetician and master lash artist. I am also a business coach, consultant, and marketing strategist for lash artists from all over the world. And I help teach and coach lash artists on how to start, build, and grow a thriving lash business on their own terms. Why do I add in on their own terms? Because it is so insanely important to me that you are running a business that fulfills you, that gives you the reason why you got into business, which is likely freedom. Freedom with your time, freedom with your schedule, freedom with your money, freedom of choice, that you get to choose by being a business owner what your life looks like. I have zero interest in encouraging and supporting anybody who wants to go down somebody else's path of success, because that leads to burnout. That leads to being overworked, feeling exhausted, and like you're just always playing catch up. So that's why I choose to coach lash artists on building a business on their own terms. So let's dive into today's topic. All right, where did this topic come from? Let me actually just bring up chat really quick because I want to make sure that I am getting people's comments if they're gonna be perfect. Okay, oh, let me mute it. Okay. So I was at a conference speaking this weekend. This was my first conference to go speak at, and I spoke on marketing. It went very well. It gave me the rare opportunity to actually meet fans and followers and people who read the blogs, a chance to meet them in person, which was an awesome, awesome, awesome opportunity. As the weekend unfolded, I started to struggle with this topic of worthiness and how it affects running a business. I liked the fact that people were coming up to me and connecting with me and saying how much that what I'm doing is changing how they run their business or it's impacting their lives. That feels good, right? What I struggled with was, how do I put this in a way? It got me really fired up and rubbed me the wrong way when there was an awards night. Now, this is only my own opinion. take it for what it's worth. But in an industry where we don't have standards, where there is no regulation, to have awards where there's a winner and a loser, for me, disempowers women, because there are fewer winners than there are losers, correct? Even those who were nominated didn't win, or those who were nominated and didn't even make the top 3, I think they did, or those who weren't nominated at all. How does that empower them to do better when there's no set standard, right? Whose standard is it that we're trying to reach? So it's not like it's a competition like Lash Wars or all the other Lash competitions where you're getting feedback on your work, areas to improve upon, and you can grow from there. It literally is one person or one committee's opinion and their perspective of what's good and what's bad. Again, when we're comparing Lash artists, say in your own city, of who's good and who's bad, who's to determine who's good and who's bad, because we all have different ways of doing things. It doesn't mean that anybody's better than somebody else. It is just one person's opinion. And this is where self-worth started coming into the conversation. I'll just use my own experience. I'm not going to talk about anybody else's experience. So in my category, I love the women that are in it. I think they are doing phenomenal things in this industry. For me to even look at my competition, not even including myself in that, and to think that one is better than the other, that one's curriculum or whatever was more valuable than the other, was just mind-blowing to me, that all of a sudden one was in a better light than the other one, or even me included in that, that either one of our curriculums was less than somebody else's. And I can't think about how often this happens to Lash artists who, just for the Lash artists that I've involved myself with and talked to and coached through some pretty challenging obstacles in their business, that it's all related to mindset. There's a lot of self-worth, doubt, feelings of insecurity, being told they're not good enough so much in their life from the people that they trust, that they actually start to believe it, and they have their own self-negative talk that they're not good enough to do something, so they have these self-sabotaging behaviors. I looked at this awards as, are we perpetuating that with these awards, which are meant to be good? They were from good intentions. The point, I think, was to reward people who are doing really well in the industry. But did we have some sort of backlash, an unintentional, harmful, negative effect by having this standard of someone else's opinion? I see this play out in Lash artists' lives when they are not confident in, let's say, pricing, if they're undercharging their worth, if they are letting their competition dictate their price or whether they're successful or not. When they look at a fully booked Lash artist, right? Like, that's what a lot of Lash artists want to be. They want to be fully booked. But when you get to the point of being fully booked, from my own experience, it's stressful. And if you are not charging enough, you are working hours and hours and hours more than you should, and your personal life starts to suffer. Your body starts to suffer. Your mental health starts to suffer. But yet this is the version of success that we were working so hard for, right? So when there's not a clear defined standard of good or bad in our industry, because it is still new and because it's subjective, right? There are bad Lash artists who are successful. There are good Lash artists who are not successful in business. It's detrimental for us to put labels on like best or, you know, best in the city, even those who compete in those best of type competitions. Those type of competitions, it's all popularity contests. It's all about how you market yourself, right? So I just want to put it out there that no one else is in charge of your success in your business except you. We have been so conditioned in society to be good employees, where you work hard, you work long hours to get ahead. That script changes when you become a business owner, because you can work hours and hours and hours and hours, and your to-do list will still be there in the morning. It never ends, the amount of work that you need to do as an entrepreneur. You can start to work smarter, you can start to outsource and delegate, but for you to have a vision of what somebody else's version of success is without really tying into what success means for you is detrimental to your well-being, both mental, physical, and even emotional. So I don't own a business for bragging rights. The Lashpreneur is not around to get awards, accolades, anybody else's recognition, except for the students and the industry that I impact on a one-on-one basis. So if my students are telling me I didn't get any value from this, that's something I would change my business for. If it's the right type of student for me, right? If it's somebody who's not coachable or somebody who's not doing the work and who's not implementing things, sorry, it's just not a good fit. But if I'm teaching you things and it's not impacting your life in a positive way, that means something. That's something to change my business for. For lash artists, I see this play out when you give a client a fill at a full set price because you think that your time is up for negotiation, that your time isn't that valuable. Or when a client says, I need to get in, I work 9 to 5 and I can't make it there before 4:30. Can you get me in at 5:30? But you have to run home and pick up your kids from school, or you have to pay more for a babysitter. And you're like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll add you on at the end of the day. But you don't charge them for, say, an after hours fee because you feel like your time at the end of the day with your family, if you're being taken out of that, that there's not any extra, that you don't need to be compensated for any of that extra time. That client, okay, it's just an extra, 40 or 50 bucks that I can make by taking this client at the end of the day. But what is that actually costing you by doing that? Not just even in that day, like I wasn't home for dinner to cook my family dinner, so we had to order takeout. What is that actually costing you in the long run? Okay, you've taken 6 clients in that day, and at 6 clients, your eyes start to go crossed and you start to get neck ache and your shoulders get all out of whack. And then you've just added on a 7th client. Not only does your quality of work go down, but your long-term ability to do this job as a career also gets impacted. I also see this when clients make a stink that they're unhappy and you just automatically offer a refund. This happens when somebody calls and asks what your price is and you give it to them and they say, oh, when do you have specials? Or are there any specials coming up because you're too expensive, but I really love your work. And you go, yeah, I can do $20 off, or, I've got a special coming up next month that you just happen to make up of, oh, there'll be a 30% off special for Mother's Day, and you start to undervalue and undercut yourself. And it's these self-sabotaging behaviors because you don't look at yourself as somebody who has worth and who has value. Now, that's an extreme statement. I get it. And this plays out in various different ways depending on your own personal views of yourself. So what I'm trying to get at in entrepreneurship is if you start to value yourself and you start to see where negative self-talk, whether that was from your childhood, whether that was from a previous relationship where you started to doubt yourself, where you started to lack confidence, your confidence in your lash skill is a lot different than your confidence as a business owner. So when you start to lack the confidence in being a business owner, how do we change that? How do we flip the script, flip your view of yourself to really get to the root of why it is that you feel the need to compete on price and discount and be the cheapest in town, why you feel like you have to bend over backwards and get walked all over by clients and be disrespected, why you feel like somebody else's opinion, somebody else's time, somebody else's view of you is more important than your own view of yourself. Where did that flip for you? Because I don't feel like a lot of us are born that way, but entrepreneurs are very highly prone to depression because it's not like when you quit a job and you can blame your boss being a horrible person. When you close your business, when your business shuts down for whatever reason, there's nobody else to blame but you. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And I also feel like when I'm relating it back to the awards, for those who didn't win an award, how much has this set them back in their journey and in their career because they didn't meet somebody else's expectations, but yet they put so much value on someone else's opinion of their own business. But who's to say that person's opinion is any more valuable than their own feelings of self-worth? Where does that come from? Now, I love this kind of talk, and one-on-one, I can get super deep with you guys. But because I'm trying to generalize a lot of mindset shifts that need to happen with lash artists who turn into business owners, being very vague in general. But I do have a download of questions for you to walk through to make sure you're either making decisions in your business in a healthy way, that your self-talk is not tanking your business or causing self-sabotaging behavior that will cripple your success. And also for you to get a clear idea of the steps you need to take in order to reach your version of success. Because your version of success is going to be very different than anybody else's version of success. For me in my life, it is having freedom with my time, with my schedule, with my money. That is why I run a business. And I imagine for most of you, it's very similar. You want freedom. So when lash artists don't have a clear standard of this is what success means to me, then they let clients dictate what they do in their business. Then they start taking clients 10, 12 hours a day. They work 6 days a week. They don't take care of themselves. They have back and shoulder problems. Their relationships suffer because they haven't set the expectation for themselves of this is what success means to me. I'm not chasing anybody else's version of success. I'm not letting anybody else dictate what's important in my business because I understand what I need to do in order for my life to be happy. Clients will come and go. Clients come into our lives and they leave our lives just as quickly. Basing your business on what makes a single or even a group of clients happy, but detracts from why you got into business in the first place is going to get you out of the lash biz game and out of the Lashpreneur game faster than you can imagine, because you are going to forever spin your wheels trying to reach somebody else's dream, trying to work for somebody else's vision. If that's the mindset that you're taking in your business, you need to go be an employee, because that's what employees do. They work for somebody else's dream. If you are a business owner and you have your own version of success, it doesn't matter what goes on outside of your body, outside of your mind, outside of your business, because you have clarity and purpose and direction in your business. So with that being said, head on over to thelashpreneur.com/episode 10 to download your top 10 questions in evaluating your self-worth when it comes to your business. And if you have questions or you want to talk about this on a one-on-one level, please feel free to message me. Self-worth, being confident in who you are as a business owner and the direction that you're taking your business will do wonders and more for your lash business than taking lash certification after lash certification. Your skill set will only get you so far, but your mindset and your view of yourself as a business owner is going to propel you in ways that you can never even imagine. Thanks for joining me today. Have a good one.